The morning sky above Washington, D.C. turned from blue to purple as massive ships emerged from the clouds. Their dark hulls blocked out the sun, casting enormous shadows across the city. In his small apartment, James Walker had just finished feeding his military working dog, Max, when the emergency alert system blared through his phone. This is not a drill. All military personnel report to their designated stations immediately. James, a Marine Corps dog handler with 5 years of service, quickly grabbed his pre-packed bag and Max's tactical gear. The German shepherd watched him with alert eyes, already sensing the tension in the air. As James fitted Max with his protective vest and equipment, the TV in the background showed chaotic scenes from around the world. Similar ships had appeared over every major city on Earth. The news channel switched between footage of the vessels and emergency broadcasts from different governments. People were running through the streets, some trying to leave the cities while others stood frozen, recording the ships with their phones. "Come on, boy," James said, checking Max's gear one last time. "Looks like this isn't going to be a normal Monday after all." They made their way to the Marine Corps base in record time, driving past crowds of panicked civilians. The base was already buzzing with activity. Tanks rolled across the grounds, and soldiers rushed to their positions. Colonel Thompson, their commanding officer, had gathered all available personnel in the briefing room. At 700 hours today, unknown vessels entered Earth's atmosphere, Thompson announced, his voice steady despite the circumstances. At 7:30, they broadcast a message to every communication device on the planet. The colonel pressed a button, and a holographic image appeared above the briefing room table. A tall, imposing figure materialized, clearly alien, with scaled skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its voice was deep and resonating. "People of Earth, I am Commander Vale of the Orthic Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. Surrender, and you may serve. Resist, and you will face consequences beyond your comprehension." The room remained silent as the message ended. Max, sitting perfectly still beside James, let out a low growl. Several other military dogs in the room did the same, their training keeping them quiet but their instincts clearly troubled by the alien's image. "We've been ordered to secure key defensive positions around the capital," Thompson continued. "Walker, you and Max will be with Alpha Team at Point Delta. Your dog's enhanced smell and hearing could give us early warning if these beings try to sneak up on us." James nodded, feeling Max press against his leg. The German shepherd's presence was reassuring. They'd been through tough situations before, though nothing quite like this. As they moved out to their assigned position, the aliens made no aggressive moves. Their ships simply hovered, a constant reminder of the threat looming above. James and Max took their position with Alpha Team, setting up in an abandoned office building that offered a good vantage point of the surrounding area. Through his binoculars, James observed one of the alien ships. Its surface seemed to ripple like liquid metal, defying Earth's physics. Max lay beside him, ears constantly moving, scanning for any unusual sounds. The other members of Alpha Team had set up a defensive perimeter, their weapons ready but useless against the massive ships above. "Walker," his radio crackled. "Any movement on your side?" "Negative, sir," James replied, glancing at Max. But Max is getting more anxious by the minute. Something's coming. As if on cue, the alien ships began to emit a low humming sound. The vibrations made the windows rattle, and Max stood up, hackles raised. The other military dogs in nearby positions could be heard barking in the distance. "All units, maintain positions," Thompson's voice came through the radio. "We don't fire unless fired upon. I repeat, do not engage unless engage." James placed his hand on Max's head, feeling the dog's muscles tense under his fingers. Below them, civilians who had ignored the evacuation orders rushed for cover as the humming grew louder. The Arctic ships were moving, shifting into new formations above the city. Earth's first contact with alien life wasn't going to be the celebration of unity and advancement that people had hoped for. Instead, humanity found itself staring down the barrel of a gun, waiting for the trigger to be pulled. Max let out another low growl, and James tightened his grip on his rifle. Whatever these Orcs had planned, they would face it together, man and dog, protecting their home. 3 days had passed since the Orcs ships appeared over Earth. The world held its breath, waiting for the invasion to begin. James and Max remained at their observation post, taking short shifts to rest while maintaining constant vigilance. The morning sun had just risen when all electronic devices suddenly activated. Commander Vale's scaled face appeared on every screen, his 4 eyes glowing with what looked like amusement. Humans, his voice boomed through the city's emergency broadcast systems. Your time to surrender has ended. You choose to resist. Then witness the power of the Orcic Empire. Behold our ultimate weapon, the Beast. James watched through his binoculars as massive doors opened on the undersides of the alien ships. Max's ears perked up, and his nose twitched rapidly. Other military dogs in nearby positions began barking, their handlers struggling to keep them quiet. Movement from the ships, James reported into his radio. Large objects being lowered. Max is getting agitated. Giant transport pods descended from the vessels, each easily the size of a small house. They touched down in different parts of the city, their metal surfaces gleaming in the morning light. The pods hissed as they opened, releasing clouds of purple mist. All units, maintain positions, Colonel Thompson ordered through the radio. Stand by for visual confirmation of hostile forces. James adjusted his rifle scope, trying to peer through the purple haze. Max suddenly stood up, his tail straight and body rigid. Through the clearing mist, James saw something that made his blood run cold. A massive creature emerged from the nearest pod. It stood at least 12 feet tall, with a body that seemed to combine the worst aspects of Earth's most dangerous predators. Its scale-covered body rippled with muscles, while its bear-like frame moved with surprising grace. The head was a nightmare, a mix of lizard and wolf, with rows of teeth visible even from a distance. Visual confirmation on the hostile, James reported, his voice steady despite his racing heart. One creature, approximately 12 feet tall. Multiple others emerging from other pods. Around the city, more beasts appeared. They moved with terrifying speed for their size, their claws leaving deep marks in the concrete as they walked. The Orcic commander's voice returned, filled with pride. The Beast is our greatest achievement. No species has ever survived an encounter with these perfect hunters. They feel no fear, know no mercy, and will not stop until their prey is eliminated. Your weapons cannot harm them. Your walls cannot stop them. Your civilization ends today. Military forces around the city began reporting beast sightings. The creatures were spreading out, moving with what seemed like military precision. James watched as one beast stopped near their building, its nostrils flaring as it sampled the air. "Sir," James whispered into his radio, "we have one approaching Point Delta, requesting permission to engage." "Negative," Thompson replied. "Intel suggests conventional weapons may be useless. Hold position and observe. We need to learn what we're dealing with." Max remained unusually calm beside James, watching the beast with intense focus. The creature below suddenly lifted its head, looking directly at their position. Its eyes were surprisingly intelligent, scanning the building methodically. "All units be advised." A new voice came through the radio. "Moscow forces reporting total failure of standard ammunition against the creatures. Armor appears to repel everything short of heavy artillery." The beast near their position dropped to all fours, its muscles bunching under its scaled hide. James realized what was about to happen a second before it moved. "Everyone back from the windows," he shouted, grabbing Max's tactical vest. The creature leaped, crossing the 40-foot gap to their building in a single bound. Its claws dug into the concrete exterior like it was soft clay, and the entire structure shook as it began to climb. "Fall back," James ordered, pulling Max toward the emergency stairwell. The rest of Alpha Team was already moving, maintaining discipline despite their fear. They could hear the beast climbing, its claws screeching against the building's surface. Commander Vale's laughter echoed through the city. "Run, humans. Run and hide. It will make no difference. The beasts enjoy the hunt, and you are all their prey." As James and his team descended the stairs, Max suddenly stopped. His ears moved forward, and his tail gave a single, curious wag. Before James could grab him, the dog let out a small whine, not of fear, but of interest. "Max, quiet," James whispered, but he noticed something odd. The sound of the beast climbing had stopped. Above them, they could hear deep, rumbling breaths, as if the creature was also curious about something. In that moment, James didn't know it, but the course of the entire invasion was about to change, all because of a dog's simple reaction to what should have been a terrifying monster. The stairwell was silent except for their controlled breathing and the beast's rumbling sounds above. James held Max's tactical vest tightly, but the German shepherd wasn't trying to pull away. Instead, the dog sat calmly, head tilted upward, tail giving occasional gentle wags. "Walker, what's wrong with your dog?" whispered Tom, one of the Alpha team members. "Why isn't he afraid?" Before James could answer, heavy footsteps echoed above them. The beast was moving down the stairs. Each step made the metal railings vibrate. The team raised their weapons, though they knew bullets would be useless. "Ready to move on my mark," James whispered, but Max remained oddly relaxed. Years of working with military dogs had taught James to trust his partner's instincts. Max wasn't showing any signs of fear or aggression, only curiosity. The beast appeared around the corner of the stairs. In the confined space, it looked even larger. Its scaled head nearly touched the ceiling, and its massive claws left marks in the concrete steps. 4 eyes, similar to Commander Vale's but golden in color, focused on the group. Everyone expected it to attack. Instead, the beast lowered its head, nostrils flaring as it scented the air. Its eyes locked onto Max, and to everyone's surprise, it made a sound that wasn't threatening at all, more like a questioning rumble. Max's tail started wagging faster. Before anyone could stop him, he let out a friendly bark. "Max, no," James hissed, but what happened next left everyone frozen in shock. The beast's tail, a powerful scaled appendage that could probably crush a car, began to move in a slow, swaying motion. It lowered its massive body, front legs extending forward in a posture that every dog owner would recognize. A play bow. "Sir," Tom whispered into his radio, "you need to see this. Activating helmet cam now." Max looked up at James, tail wagging, then back at the beast. James had seen this behavior hundreds of times during dog training. His partner was asking permission to approach. "This is either the bravest or dumbest thing I've ever done," James muttered. Taking a deep breath, he loosened his grip on Max's vest. "Okay, boy. Careful." Max moved forward slowly, his body language relaxed and friendly. The beast remained in its play bow position, making soft, rumbling sounds. When Max reached it, he sniffed the air, then did something that made everyone gasp. He licked the beast's nose. Instead of reacting violently, the beast made a sound that could only be described as a giggle. It shifted its weight, careful not to knock anyone over in the confined space, and gently nudged Max with its snout. "Colonel," James spoke into his radio, his voice filled with disbelief. "Are you seeing this?" "Affirmative," Thompson replied. "And you're not the only one. We're getting similar reports from other units. Every beast that's encountered one of our dogs is playing with them." As if to confirm this, the beast rolled onto its side, its huge tail thumping against the wall in a way that reminded James of an oversized puppy. Max immediately began playing with it, completely unafraid of the creature that was supposed to be the galaxy's deadliest weapon. "All units," Thompson's voice crackled through the radio. "New orders. All K9 teams are now primary contact units. Everyone else, maintain support positions, but do not engage unless absolutely necessary." The beast had managed to turn around in the stairwell and was now showing its belly to Max, who was treating it exactly like he would a fellow dog. The feared hunter of the Orcic Empire was nothing more than an oversized, scaly puppy. "Sir," James reported, watching Max and the beast interact, "I think we need to rethink everything we assumed about these weapons. They're not mindless killing machines. They're social creatures, probably pack-oriented, just like our dogs." Above the city, the Orcic ships hung motionless. James could almost imagine Commander Vale's confusion as reports came in of his unstoppable warriors rolling around with Earth's canines, playing like puppies at a dog park. "Record everything," Thompson ordered. "This might be the breakthrough we need. Walker, see if you can get your new friend to follow you and Max to the secure area. Let's find out just how similar to our dogs these beasts really are." As James watched Max lead the happily following beast down the stairs, he couldn't help but smile. The Orcic Empire had just learned an important lesson. Never underestimate the power of a wagging tail and a friendly bark. The secure command center buzzed with activity as military leaders gathered around multiple screens showing footage from James's helmet camera. The video of Max's interaction with the beast had been shared with every major military command worldwide. On one screen, Commander Vale could be seen pacing on his ship's bridge, clearly agitated by the unexpected turn of events. In the corner of the room, the beast that had followed Max lay curled up on the floor, its massive head resting on its front paws. 3 other military dogs had joined Max in what looked like a bizarre puppy pile with their new 12-foot-tall friend. James stood nearby, still amazed by how quickly things had changed. "The pattern is consistent across all contact zones," reported Dr. Wilson, the military's lead animal behavior expert. She pointed to a map showing beast encounters worldwide. "Every beast that meets one of our military dogs displays the same social behaviors. They're not just similar to canines, they're almost identical in their pack mentality." Colonel Thompson studied the beast, which was now rolling over to let a Belgian Malinois scratch its belly. "How is this possible? They were supposed to be the galaxy's deadliest weapons." "I think I understand," James spoke up, drawing on his years of experience with military working dogs. "Look at their behavior, their social structure. The Orcic didn't create weapons. They took pack hunters and tried to turn them into something they're not." The beast let out a happy rumble as Max brought it a large rubber tire that normally would have been used for vehicle training. The creature delicately took the tire and began playing with it like a toy. "Walker might be right," Dr. Wilson agreed. "These beings aren't naturally aggressive. They're highly social, intelligent pack animals. The Orcic probably found them, saw their physical capabilities, and tried to weaponize them through isolation and training." On the screens, more reports were coming in. A beast in London was playing fetch with a bomb-sniffing dog using a dumpster lid as a frisbee. In Tokyo, another had joined a K9 unit's training session and was following commands better than some of the dogs. From Moscow came footage of a beast helping a search and rescue dog dig through some rubble, apparently just for fun. "Sir," James said, watching Max guide the beast through basic obedience positions, "I have a suggestion. What if we deployed all available military working dogs to make contact with the beasts? Not just for defense, but to actively flip their whole army." Thompson stroked his chin thoughtfully. "You want to turn their own weapons against them?" "Not exactly, sir," James explained. "I want to show the beasts that they don't have to be weapons at all. Look how happy they are just being themselves." As if to prove his point, the beast in the room let out a joyful sound as Max taught it to play tug-of-war with a heavy rope. Despite its enormous strength, the creature was being incredibly gentle with its new friends. "Get me every available K9 unit," Thompson ordered, "and contact our allies. If they have military dogs, we want them on the front lines. Dr. Wilson, work with Walker to develop a rapid interaction protocol. We need to make this reproducible." Within hours, the plan was in motion. Military working dogs from around the world were being transported to beast contact zones, James helped draft a simple guide for handlers, drawing from what he'd learned watching Max. Remember, he told a group of handlers preparing for deployment, these aren't the monsters we thought they were. They're more like oversized puppies who've never had a friend before. Let the dogs approach them naturally. Don't show fear. They can sense it just like our dogs can. The beast in the command center had fallen asleep, surrounded by its new dog friends. Its gentle snoring made the floor vibrate slightly. On the main screen, Commander Vale was shouting orders, trying desperately to regain control of his forces. But with each passing hour, more beasts were discovering the joy of having actual companions instead of masters. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "you need to see this. The beasts are starting to ignore direct orders from the Orcic ships. Some are actively protecting our dogs from Orcic enforcement units." James scratched behind Max's ears, proud of his partner. "Good boy," he whispered. "You just helped us figure out that sometimes the biggest, scariest weapons in the galaxy just need a friend." The beast opened one eye and gave what could only be described as a happy grin, its tail thumping against the floor with enough force to make the tactical radios bounce on their charging station. The invasion wasn't over, but its nature had fundamentally changed, all thanks to humanity's oldest animal friends. Commander Vale's holographic image flickered with rage as he watched another squad of his fearsome beasts abandon their attack positions to play fetch with a group of German shepherds. The massive creatures that were supposed to be terrorizing Earth's cities were instead joining impromptu training sessions with military dogs worldwide. "This is impossible." Vale's voice boomed through the emergency broadcast systems. "Beasts of the Orcic Empire, I command you to destroy these inferior creatures." In response, a beast near Central Park picked up a fallen tree trunk and brought it to a border collie, dropping it like a stick to be thrown. The dog barked excitedly, and soon both animals were engaged in history's largest game of fetch. James watched from the command center as similar scenes played out on screens from around the world. Max and their original beast friend, whom the soldiers had started calling Big Boy, were demonstrating proper play behavior to newly arrived military dogs and their handlers. "Status report," Colonel Thompson called out, hiding a smile as Big Boy delicately accepted a tennis ball from a tiny corgi. "Sir, beast forces are completely off mission in 80% of deployment zones," an analyst reported. "The remaining 20% are in areas without K9 units, but they're showing signs of hesitation. They're not attacking civilian targets anymore." Social media was exploding with videos of the beast's transformation. A trending clip showed a beast in Paris sitting patiently while a French police dog taught it to shake hands, though in the beast's case, its paw was the size of a car tire. Another video from Sydney captured a beast helping lifeguard dogs with a water rescue demonstration, its powerful swimming ability making waves that reached the shore. "Walker," Thompson called, "your theory about their pack mentality was spot on. The beasts aren't just playing. They're learning. Look at this." The main screen showed footage from Berlin, where a beast had witnessed a police dog apprehending a looter. The beast had quickly picked up on the concept and was now helping K9 units maintain order, gently but firmly preventing panic-driven crimes. The Orcic didn't understand what they had. Dr. Wilson explained, reviewing behavioral data. "These creatures aren't naturally violent. They're highly intelligent service animals who were forced to be weapons. Now that they've found proper social connections, their true nature is emerging." Commander Vale's next broadcast was cut short when a beast in Moscow accidentally knocked over his hologram projector while chasing a frisbee with a pack of huskies. The Orcic Empire's fearsome reputation was crumbling with each wagging tail and playful bark. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "we're picking up transmissions from inside the Orcic ships. The beast handlers are refusing orders. They're saying they won't force the beasts to attack anymore." The screen showed Orcic crew members, specifically those who work directly with the beasts, beginning to question their commands. Years of witnessing the creature's intelligence and gentleness had affected them, and now they were seeing a better way. James watched as Big Boy demonstrated his newest trick. The massive creature sat up straight, then raised one paw in a perfect military salute, mimicking what he'd seen the soldiers do. Max barked approvingly, and soon treats were being shared all around. Regular dog biscuits for the dogs, and specially prepared giant versions for their new scaly friends. "Look at this," Dr. Wilson pointed to new footage. "The beasts are teaching each other. When a beast with dog friends meets one without, they're showing them how to play and interact. They're spreading the behavior through their own network." The command center erupted in laughter as a live feed showed a beast in Tokyo trying to sit in a police dog's bed, looking confused when only its paw would fit. The creature solved the problem by carefully picking up the bed and placing it on its back, wearing it like a hat while the dog barked encouragingly. "Commander Vale is losing control," Thompson observed. "His ultimate weapons have discovered belly rubs and tennis balls. Hard to maintain military discipline after that." James patted Max's head proudly. "Who's going to follow orders to destroy when they can play fetch instead?" Outside, Big Boy had arranged several cars into a makeshift obstacle course, copying the canine training area. He was now leading other beasts through it, showing them how to weave between vehicles without breaking them, while the dogs supervised with professional interest. The invasion had turned into the galaxy's largest dog training class, and Earth was winning, not through force or violence, but with squeaky toys and positive reinforcement. Humanity's oldest friends had just saved them from their greatest threat, armed with nothing but wagging tails and unconditional friendship. The command center's main screen showed chaos erupting aboard the Orthic mothership. Beast handlers, inspired by Earth's footage of happy beasts playing with dogs, had barricaded themselves in the main holding areas. Commander Vale's orders to force the beasts back into combat were met with open defiance. "You don't understand them," a senior beast handler was shouting through the ship's communication system. "We've watched Earth's transmissions. Their approach is what we should have been doing all along." James and Max stood with Big Boy, watching the drama unfold. The massive beast seemed to understand something important was happening. His usually playful demeanor had turned attentive and serious. "Incoming transmission," announced the communications officer. "It's from the beast handlers. They're requesting a video conference with our K9 training division." Colonel Thompson looked at James. "Walker, you and Max started this. Want to handle first contact with the handlers?" James nodded, and soon the large screen showed the face of head handler Ross, a tall Orthic with kinder eyes than Vale. Behind him, other handlers gathered around, their scales showing signs of recent conflict. "We've cared for the beasts since we found their homeworld," Ross explained, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into English. "We knew they were intelligent, social creatures, but military command wouldn't listen. They only saw weapons." As if to emphasize the point, Big Boy gently picked up a tennis ball and placed it on the conference table, looking hopefully at Max. The German shepherd wagged his tail but remained professionally focused on the meeting. "The beasts were never meant to be weapons," Ross continued. "Their planet was a paradise where they lived in large family groups. The military saw their size and strength, and," he paused, shame evident in his voice, "we took them from their homes." Dr. Wilson stepped forward. "Your beasts show all the signs of highly evolved pack animals. They need social bonds, play, and positive reinforcement, exactly what our dogs naturally provide." On other screens, reports were coming in from around the world. Beast handlers were evacuating Orthic ships in small transport pods, heading directly to areas where their charges were playing with Earth's dogs. The handlers carried what looked like toys and training equipment from their own facilities. "Commander Vale is losing his entire beast division," Thompson observed. "Both the creatures and their caretakers are switching sides." "We want to learn," Ross declared. "Your methods, your understanding of pack animals. The bond between humans and dogs is unlike anything we've seen in the galaxy." Will you teach us? Before anyone could respond, alarms blared through the Arctic ships. Vale's voice thundered through all channels. This is treason. Any handler found cooperating with humans will face immediate execution. Big Boy stood up, his full 12-foot height impressive even in the large command center. He let out a deep, rumbling sound that was clearly meant to reassure the worried handlers on screen. Other beasts across the world made similar gestures, positioning themselves protectively near their handlers. I think, James said carefully, your beasts have made their choice, and they've chosen to protect their handlers, just like our dogs protect us. Ross's eyes widened as a beast on his ship physically blocked armed soldiers from entering the handler section. Similar scenes played out across the Arctic fleet. Beasts were no longer following military orders, instead acting to protect those who had shown them care. Vale's losing control of the entire invasion force, Thompson reported. The beasts are actively preventing military actions against Earth or their handlers. A new transmission cut through all channels. The Arctic High Command. They had been watching events unfold and had reached a decision. Commander Vale was to stand down immediately. The invasion was over. This isn't the end, Ross said, hope in his voice. It's a beginning. We want to make things right. For the beasts, for their handlers, and for Earth. As if celebrating the announcement, Big Boy finally convinced Max to play with the tennis ball he'd been holding. The sight of Earth's biggest defender playing fetch with humanity's oldest friend seemed to perfectly capture the historic moment. The Arctic Empire had come to conquer Earth, but instead found something far more valuable. A lesson in friendship, trust, and the power of understanding. And it all started with a dog seeing past the fearsome exterior of a beast to find a kindred spirit. 6 months after the failed invasion, the National Mall in Washington, D.C. looked very different. Where people had once fled in terror from alien ships, they now gathered to witness a historic ceremony. The first joint human-beast canine peacekeeping force was about to graduate. James stood at attention, Max by his side, watching as Big Boy led a formation of beasts in perfect synchronization with their dog partners. The massive creatures moved with surprising grace, each wearing specially designed service vests marked with the new United Earth Defense Force insignia. If someone had told me 6 months ago that our greatest weapons against alien invasion would be tennis balls and belly rubs, Colonel Thompson whispered to James, I'd have had them psychiatric evaluated. The graduating class included 20 beasts, each paired with a military dog and their human handler. They had completed an intensive training program that combined traditional canine techniques with new protocols developed specifically for beast dog teams. Former Arctic handler Ross, now Earth's chief liaison for beast relations, stood proudly with the other instructors. The beast and dog pairs have exceeded all expectations, Dr. Wilson reported to the assembled crowd. Their combined abilities are extraordinary. The beast's strength and size, coupled with our dog's training and social skills, create teams perfectly suited for search and rescue, disaster response, and peacekeeping operations. On the stage, Big Boy demonstrated some of their new capabilities. He carefully lifted a crashed car, allowing his dog partner to search underneath for training dummies. Another beast dog team showed how they could clear rubble from simulated disaster sites, the beast's power controlled by the dog's precise guidance. But perhaps most importantly, Dr. Wilson continued, we've helped the beasts reconnect with their natural social instincts. Thanks to our dogs, they're rediscovering who they truly are. The evidence was clear in how the beasts behaved. They maintained perfect discipline during the ceremony, but their happiness was obvious in their gently wagging tails and bright eyes. They were no longer weapons. They were partners, protectors, and friends. Commander Vale, stripped of his rank and under investigation by Arctic High Command, watched the ceremony from a detention center. His ultimate weapons had become Earth's most celebrated allies, and there wasn't a thing he could do about it. Today marks not just a graduation, the United Earth Defense Force commander announced, but a new chapter in both human and Arctic history. These teams will form the core of our new interstellar emergency response force. James couldn't help but smile as Max and Big Boy demonstrated their specialty, rapid response search and rescue. Big Boy could cover ground faster than any human vehicle, with Max riding on his specially designed harness, using his keen nose to direct their search pattern. They had already saved lives in 3 major disasters. The Orthic High Command has also announced, the commander continued, that efforts are underway to return to the beast's homeworld, not to capture more, but to establish diplomatic relations with their wild cousins. Earth's K-9 program will assist in peaceful first contact. In the audience, former beast handlers wiped away tears as footage played showing the first successful contact with wild beasts. The video showed dogs helping to bridge the communication gap, teaching humans and Arctic alike how to properly interact with these magnificent creatures. The ceremony concluded with a demonstration that brought cheers from the crowd. All 20 beast dog teams performed a synchronized routine, showing how far they'd come from those first terrified days of the invasion. The beasts moved with joy and purpose, their handlers and dog partners guiding them with nothing more than quiet words and hand signals. Ready for our next assignment? James asked Max and Big Boy after the ceremony. They were being deployed to help establish the first beast sanctuary, where more of the creatures could learn to work with dogs and humans. Max barked happily, while Big Boy carefully lowered his massive head to gently bump against James's shoulder. A gesture of affection they'd all come to love. Around them, other teams were celebrating, the air filled with barks, happy rumbles, and laughter. The invasion that was meant to end Earth had instead forged an unbreakable bond between 3 species. Humanity had gained powerful friends. The beasts had found their true calling, and the dogs, well, the dogs had simply done what they'd always done, shown everyone how to be better through unconditional friendship and trust. As the sun set on the ceremony, Big Boy looked up at the stars where more beast transports were arriving, not as weapons of war, but as eager students ready to learn from Earth's canine ambassadors. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was a very good thing indeed.